Hey, welcome back to the channel. So, in talking about how to become a better father, mentor, better man, and with it being a lost art, we had talked about breaking it down into segments. And I think that's what it needs to be, is it needs to be broken down into segments so that, the good thing is that becoming all of the above is a learned behavior, a learned trait. So that's good news. That means that it's still learnable if you want to attain to that. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. Today I thought we'd talk about cheese to that level, okay? And as we talked about in that video, a lot of you younger guys, 40 and younger, kind of is checked out. And what do I mean by checked out? I mean, you gave up on yourself. You gave up on having a good life. You gave up on that chance of becoming a father, of becoming a mentor to others, a leader. And why did you check out? Why did you give up on yourself? It's because you didn't know how to become a good father, a good mentor, a good man. Because nobody is showing it anymore. And this isn't just, one generation. This is 2 generations in the process. And we need to nip it in the bud now before it gets too far. Seriously. So I feel we need to go back to the basics, and that is, as we talked about in the other video, dads are protector, provider, teacher, anchor. And if you have kids out there and you're a guy, okay, those kids have to come before anything else in your life, all right? You're the one that chose to have them. So you need to be in their lives, and you need to be there for whatever their needs are. And I hear a lot of guys that got into a relationship and the relationship didn't work out, and they're pissing and moaning because they have to pay child support. Stop. Stop right there. If you're the one that decided you wanted kids, right? And that is your number one responsibility, is to be the provider for them. And by giving your ex a check to help offset the cost of living for buying groceries, to clothing, to whatever their needs are, shouldn't be a bitching point. We shouldn't even have court mandated with fathers paying child support. It should be a given. You're getting out of it cheap. Because if you were still in that home, it would cost you a lot more part of your wages to raise those kids than what you're paying right now. You shouldn't be told that you have to help support those kids. You shouldn't be forced to have to help those kids. Those are your kids, right? They come before everything else in your life. But nobody taught you that. You came from a generation where a lot of your parents were getting divorced, and, the parents didn't get along, and parents would get the kids involved by saying that their father was low life and this and that, or they would sit there and listen to you and your partner, having an argument and getting heated. All of those things have nothing to do with kids. And as I mentioned in the other video, the one thing you do not do this, is say anything negative or derogatory about the other parent. If you're the guy and you're telling your kids something not nice about their mom, that's their mom. All right? She's the one that bore your 2 kids, or your however many kids you got. All right? You're partly to blame that they're here. So why shouldn't you be responsible for them? A good man, a good father, a good mentor doesn't need to be told that those kids are their responsibility. They already know it, and they're doing it, okay? And I know that we're getting mixed families, okay? And that's where people separate or get divorced, or if they were never married, they get apart. They find somebody different, new, and they may bring kids in as part of the package. Even when something like that happens, you still need to be your kid's dad. They will have a stepdad, but they need their dad. They need their blood, all right? Somebody that should fight for them. So what are the ways, the steps to check back in? How do we become a good father? How do we become a good man? How do we have confidence? And these are all good questions. And there's no easy answer to any of them. But the starting point begins with you. And the willingness to change, okay? The willingness to learn. You become good at things by doing them over and over and over again, right? Practice. And when it comes to becoming something good, you have to have something that you look at and say, that's what I want to attain to, right? If it's learning how to play the trumpet, there's probably somebody that you have in high regards that is one heck of a trumpet player, all right? Somebody famous, part of an old jazz band or something. But you try to emulate them. And the way you become them is through practice. And the willingness to want to learn. See, if you don't care anything about it, the willingness to learn isn't there. It's like, I don't care if I can play the trumpet or not. So that's not high on your list, right? But it's still attainable if you want to become a really good trumpet player. You know that the steps are practice, 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 and practice the right way. Right? It's easy peasy. That's how we learn. So the first thing is the willingness to want to check back in. Okay? And what are reasons to check back in? Let's start with just, your internal mechanism of how you feel about yourself. How do you feel about yourself if you're still living at home in your old bedroom? You move back in after quitting your job during COVID, which was not your fault, not COVID. But why haven't you checked back in when you checked out? You have to have a sense of pride in yourself that you are a good person. And now is the time to do a little bit of soul searching and really take a good look at your life and say, is this where I want to be? Or is there a better place? See, a lot of you guys are in that situation of you want to step back in, but you don't know how. Nobody's showing you how. And right now, you and the closest people around you are making excuses for you of sitting in that bedroom on the game console. They're enabling you. You're enabling you. Because you're not worried about where your next meal's coming from. Mom's making it. So, first thing we have to do is we have to realize where we're at. And that's pretty much the bottom from where I'm standing, is you're dependent on other people. So how do you become from dependent to independent? By first getting back into the game, finding a job. Taking any job that's out there. See, that's a lost art too. A lot of you younger guys are saying that that job is beneath me. But what you weren't taught and you weren't shown, I can remember coming up through, I had a lot of jobs that I did not care for, that wasn't what my lifetime goal was, is flipping hamburgers or doing yard work or what have you. It was, we have a lot of what we call stepping stone work. And when you're younger, you work at like the McDonald's or Burger King or one of your fast foods or one of your local restaurants or what have you, dishwasher, to start understanding what it is to be part of the workforce and then get paid and have a little extra money. And usually you do that in high school. And then a lot of kids that are paying their own tuition are doing college and also working on the side to pay the tuition, their cost of living. And a lot of those jobs are waitresses, the entry-level jobs. Jobs that you don't want to aspire to, but are there to help you learn how to work and how to get a paycheck. So you first need to get a job, okay? Any job. And I don't care what job you get. You need to take pride in doing the best you can at that job. And every day you strive to become better at that job. And you go in with a positive attitude of, I'm happy to have at least this job. This job is going to get me to where I want to go. It's going to get me to the next level. And when I talk to people about, a starting point and an ending point, most people will focus on the ending point. They know where they're at right now, but this is where they want to be, and that's where they're focused. And they don't enjoy the journey. The journey is the best part of, life. And for me, the journey was the people that I met, how many people I worked with that were great people, great friends, great to be around. But if you come to work and you've got a Debbie Downer syndrome where you're just bitching and complaining about everything, you're saying the job sucks, this and that, your journey is going to be awful, right? It's all attitude. It's all attitude and how you approach things. So you first need to take the first job that's out there, that's available, okay? I don't care whether it's part-time, full-time preferred, but you're going to take that first job to get you back into the game of life. And you're going to approach that with a positive attitude. And sometimes you have to fake it to make it. I'm not a big fan of that, but sometimes you have to do that. This job may suck, but you need to come in with a positive attitude every day to work. Every day. Because people will gravitate towards you if you're good-natured and outgoing. If you're a Debbie Downer pessimistic, people will tend to stay away from you. If you're a waitress at a local diner and you're getting so much for a base pay, which most times isn't a lot of money, but your money is on the tips, okay? Are you more likely to get a tip if you're outgoing, positive, and visiting with the customers, getting their needs, whatever they need, and enjoy doing that for them? Or do you think you get as much, if not more, by being a Debbie Downer and complaining to the patrons and bitching about, the customers suck and this and that? No, you're going to get no tip for that. But if you're an outgoing person, people will give you money and tips for your service and your attitude. So the first thing you need to do is you need to get a job, all right? And you need to have the right attitude no matter what the job is. And you have to understand that this job is just a temporary to get you to the next level and the next and the next, just like the rest of us have always done. We didn't start out with our perfect job, We didn't start out by making 6-7 figures, not even close. But you need to step back in and learn how to work again and how to get along with people and how to enjoy the journey. That's the key. And you'll find that it's a lot easier to find a job while you're working than it is to find a job when you're not working, if that makes sense. Now, if you fill out an application for an interview with a company, okay, and it's a pretty decent job, right? And on that application, it asks your past work history. All right? Who do you think will get preferential treatment when it came to being hired? The one that put down hasn't worked in the last 4 years because I'm living at home with mom? and checked out, or the one that's had one or two jobs in the last 4 years and excelled at it and had a positive attitude? I guarantee you it's going to be the one that's still holding a job. Because a lot of companies, what they have to take into consideration is that they have to teach you a trade. Whatever their trade is, that's part of on-the-job learning, is they're teaching you how to do it. And that costs money in the beginning. But once they have you trained, you're a valued player because now you know how to do it. So they want to retain you. They don't want you to keep going, or they don't want you to quit the first time you meet a little bit of a hurdle from checking out. Because you showed them that you checked out before and you went for 4 years without a job. And I think if you get a job, you start making some money, you're going to start feeling better about yourself, that you're worth something. Attitude is everything. Paying your own way will help in that experience. And it may start out the first year that you're giving your mom and dad half of your paycheck or 3/4 of your paycheck to cover the food bill and, living to home at that time. But if I know a lot of parents, they'll tell you, put it in a savings account. And when you get ready to move out, you'll have something to get started on, to put your first and last month's rent down or something like that. But you got to check back in. And you have to find things that make you feel good about yourself. And we talk about having confidence. How do you get confidence? Why are there so many people that are doubting about who they are? Confidence is a learned behavior again. And confidence comes from becoming good at something. The better you are at something, the more confidence you have in yourself when it comes to doing that task. All right? The more you practice, the better you get. The better you get, the more confidence you have. And that's no different in work and in real life. I mean, the more you practice the right stuff, the better you become. And the more confident you are in being able to do that, right? If that makes any sense. So we're going to check back in. We're going to get a job. We're going to change our attitude to a positive attitude. In the beginning, if you have to fake it before you make it, try that. But it's all attitude, okay? And then we're going to work on confidence, and that is becoming good at things so that it builds your confidence. And understanding that this is where a lot of people, there's a misconception about it, is that if you fail at something, that makes you feel worthless. And that's simply not the case. That's the case with a lot of people, how they feel about themselves. But what I'm telling you is that for every successful person, you will see a string of failures. And what's the difference between the one that has a lot of failures and the one that checked out after one failure? Is that the guy that has a lot of failures and became successful learned from his failures, learned What is it that I did wrong that I can change? So the willingness to change, the attitude to change, and the willingness to want to change. All right. So he looks back at his first failure and says, what was it that caused that failure? So with time comes experience, with experience comes wisdom. And with wisdom comes confidence. Because if you do it differently and you get farther, even though it failed again, you're still headed in the right direction. See, a lot of people don't know how to handle failure. It's such a negative word. No, it's not. It's not, folks. If you fail at something, it doesn't deem you as being a failure. It means you failed at a certain task, all right? That doesn't make you a failure as a person. It just says you failed at this task, all right? You can't be defined as a failure because of a task that you didn't do right. So how do you change it? You figure out how to do it right. And it may take a few times. It takes research. Going over what was it that I did wrong. Maybe I didn't study enough. Maybe, girls, maybe I'm not good at taking tests. So let me work on taking tests so I can get better at it. So if you want to be successful in life, you have to understand that failures are good. That's how we learn and we become better and better and better, right? You got to change your mindset. A lot of you guys, if you hit a little bit of a headwind, you give up. You can't give up on yourself. You really can't. Are you really happy where you're at right now? Or would you rather be successful? Good chances are you're already practicing those steps. And you're scratching your head, aren't you? What I'm saying is, let's say you are that guy that is still living at home and you're in your bedroom on a game console doing whatever, you know. Now, when you first started on that game console, you probably weren't that great, were you? And you probably failed more times than you succeeded. But each time you learned through research or talking with your buddies or what have you, that this is what you did wrong, you can't do that wrong, so you got to do it better the next time. And now you become very successful at how to play this game. And you have confidence when it comes to playing this game. Why is that true? Why is that the case? It's because you've learned from your failures and you kept growing to get better and better and better at it till you come to a point of where you now feel confident in playing the game. Right? Take those same traits and apply it to a job. Apply it to, get back into life. So I'm going to leave it right there. I want you guys to think about that. Is first we need to get a job. First we want to have the willingness and the ability to get back into the job force. We're going to take our first job and we're going to have a good attitude about it, right? And while we're doing that job, we're going to try doing the best we can. And we're going to learn from our failures. And the next job, and then a stepping stone, will be more apt to come to your way while you're working than when you're not working. Employers want to see work history. If you haven't worked in the last 3-4 years, that doesn't look good on a resume. Okay? So you got to show work history. I'm trying to build up your confidence so that you are confident in yourself, confident in what you're doing. So on that note, work on those and let me know in the comments, how it's going for you. And if you need something else explained even further, we're going to do this in a series. And I can't try to give it all to you at one time. I feel you'll give up before you even try if you're bombarded with too much information. So our first thing is, starting today, we're going to change our attitude. We're going to take the first job out there that's offered. We're going to start paying our way. We're going to start building confidence in ourselves. We're going to have a good attitude with that first job and with the people around us, because people gravitate towards you if you're happy and outgoing. And just do the best that you can do and learn from your failures. And remember, you learned it playing those games, video games, to where you got really good at it and you were confident in yourself. Same thing holds true for the job. So let's stop there. You get started, and then we'll have like a series of maybe 5, 6 different on teaching you the steps, how to become a good man, a good father, a good dad, mentor. And today we're going to work on our confidence and being a provider. All right, so we'll catch you on the next video.